Good morning. Welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is this Tuesday, December 13th, 2005. I want to thank Council Members Labange, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, and Zine for being present. I'd like to encourage Council Members Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, Parks, Perry, Weiss, Wesson, and Padilla to join us. And in the meantime, we will begin with our presentations for today. We have a presentation to be led by Council Member Ed Reyes. So Council Member Reyes, if you'd like to give the presentation, we'd be happy to have that. Yes, Mr. Labange? When we're in session, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Good morning, everybody. Colleagues, today we are here to bid farewell to a friend. Born in the city of Puebla on January 3rd, 1959, Jose Antonio Larios Ponce is the eldest of 3 siblings. His father was born in the state of Hidalgo, and his mother was born in the state of Puebla. He completed his public education in the city of Puebla and received his Juris Doctorate from Benemérita Autonomous University of Puebla. Later, he attended the University of the Americas to complete a postgraduate program in international relations, which he later suspended to study at Matías Romero Institute for Diplomatic Studies, which prepared him for a career in the Mexican Foreign Service as vice consul. In 1985, he began his career in the Mexican Secretary of Foreign Relations. Over the years, he has spent time on behalf of the Mexican government in Portugal, Morocco, as well as Albuquerque, New Mexico. But his most recent assignment has been here in Los Angeles, where he has been since 1999. Since that time, he has served as a community liaison and as a representative of the Institute of Mexicans in the Exterior. Some of his accomplishments included the coordination of the 5 binational health weeks that took place between 2001 and 2005, the integration of the Council of Mexican Federation in Los Angeles. He led the formation of Mexican Transnational Organization. He helped form and develop the Consultative Council for IME. He helped develop 10 community posts. He has been a consistent, trusted, and honest voice to my office, and I can say to the Mexican government that he has served you honorably and represented your people with great distinction. Members of the council, today I ask you to join me as we bid farewell not only to a friend of our community, but to a friend of our city. But before I ask Mr. Jose Antonio Larios Ponce to come to the microphone, I'd like to ask Consulado Beltran to share a few words. Consulado.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Councilman Reyes. Thank you, everybody. It is sad indeed to see a good friend, a colleague leave. But I'm very happy to see that Jose Antonio Larios is leaving to serve in the Mexican Consulate General in New York, where he's going to no doubt contribute to the relationship between Mexico and the United States. So it is for me to see grow Jose Antonio Larios all these years is a tremendous pride, and I believe that the community that we represent was very well served by Jose Antonio Larios. So I thank Councilman Ed Reyes, and I wish my colleague Jose Antonio Larios all the best in his new assignment in New York City. Thank you.
Now I will ask Jose Antonio Larios Ponce to come up, share a few words. He will do it in Spanish, but we do have a translator. He'd like to come on up before I give him the certificate. Mr. Ponce.
Muchísimas gracias a todo este consejo de la hermosa ciudad de Los Ángeles.
Many thanks to this council from the city of Los Angeles.
Como nosotros decimos en México, las dos capitales de México, Los Ángeles y México Distrito Federal, hermanadas siempre y por el futuro, por los años por venir.
As we always say in Mexico, the two capitals of Mexico, Los Angeles and the Federal District, sisters forever and for the future.
Como miembro del Servicio Exterior Mexicano, me siento realmente muy orgulloso de recibir de manos del concejal Ed Reyes este reconocimiento.
As a member of the Exterior Council of Mexico, I feel very honored to receive this honor from the council and the Councilman Reyes.
Muchísimas gracias por este reconocimiento, porque esto no es más que el reconocimiento al trabajo que hace el Gobierno de México en favor de su comunidad en el exterior.
Thank you very much for this recognition, because this is in recognition of the work that the Mexican government does on the outskirts of its country.
Me da además muchísimo gusto que estemos aquí con este sindicato de trabajadores luchando por sus derechos.
I'm also very glad to be here with this union who is asking for their rights.
Y no me queda más que
Thank you. We can continue with the presentation.
Pues,
We appreciate the words. Thank you.
muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Muchísimas gracias.
Many, many thanks.
Juan Antonio, gracias por su servicio. Thank you very much for your service. And know that you will always be an Angelino, an honorary Angelino. We look forward to welcoming you back, and good luck with your new position. Thank you so much for your esteemed service.
Jose, as a token of my appreciation, working with you for so many years as a deputy, now as council member, to see all the hard work you've done for the thousands and thousands of citizens, as well as general community members, for all your hard work. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. This is a certificate of recognition for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Reyes, and thank you very much, Consul General Beltran. It's always a pleasure to have you here in Chambers. We now have 7 members here, Councilmembers Garcetti, Labange, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, and Zine. We are awaiting Councilmember Cardenas, Gruel. Cardenas is here, so we now have 8 members. We're waiting for Councilmember Gruel, Hahn, Huizar, Parks, Perry, and Wesson. And as soon as they're here, we will begin the meeting. Do we have any? We have Huizar as well, so we are one person short. Are there any announcements that folks would like to generally make at the end of meetings that they'd like to take this time to let know? Mr. Labange, any announcements? Things happening in your district?
No, Mr. Garcetti, thank you very much. I just wanted to recall that the issues related to the master plan of Griffith Park are coming forth with a working group, and it should be with sometime in the spring of next year that we would bring it forth to the commission. Ultimately, they make a determination on the park and its future, which I want to see remain as natural as possible, especially the interior. Issues related to access to the improved observatory are concerned of some, and also we are working with volunteer groups to help adopt areas and enhance the park in great degree. And one of the things I know that Mr. Reyes is very, and you are very proud of, is the work with the Los Angeles River, of connecting the river to the park. Furthermore, working on the equestrian bridge that connects North Atwater with Griffith Park and the 56 miles of hiking trails. Thank you for that time to make this brief report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. We now have 10 members, so Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Padilla. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. If first order of business is to please have everybody stand in chambers as customary on Tuesday to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Smith, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you all please join with us? Place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Thank you, Mr. Smith. You may be seated. First order of business, Madam Clerk.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Weiss moves, Ms. Perry seconds. Those are approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay. Mr. Labange moves, Mr. Cardenas seconds. Those are approved.
On the regular agenda, Mr. President, the items noticed for public hearings, items 1, 2, and 3 are all confirmations of BIDs, and there are ordinances, and I believe 12 council members will be present today. Do you wish to hold those on the desk for 12?
Yes, let's hold those on the desk, please. Okay. Any specials, colleagues, from those? Okay. If not, those, I'm sorry, were there any to vote on right now?
No, if you're holding those on the
Okay,
desk.
let's just hold those. Next batch. Excuse me, Ms. Perry.
I wanted to continue 8
Okay.
of 2 weeks.
We're almost there, okay. Next batch of,
Okay, item number 4 is also a BID, and the ballot tabulation on this will be tomorrow, and the recommendation for council action would be to hold the hearing and close the hearing and then continue the matter to tomorrow.
okay. Let's open the hearing, close the hearing, and we'll continue that matter until tomorrow. Next items?
Items 5, 6, and 7 are also public hearing items. Those are protest against various street vacations, and the recommendation for council action would be to instruct the city engineer to proceed with the vacations if there are no protests.
Okay. Do we have any protests before us? Seeing none, we will instruct the city attorney to proceed. Let's open the roll on that, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Or those are approved, excuse me. Next items.
Item number 8 is, I believe, Councilmember Perry wished to continue that matter, and there is a time limit on that item also.
When would you like to
That's a public
continue
convenience
that?
necessity.
2? For 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that exceed the time limit?
Would that exceed the time limit, Madam Clerk? That would.
By how much? 2 days?
2 weeks.
Today's the day?
Our last meeting before the break will be next
Well, we'll have to
week
vote
from
to deny
tomorrow.
it then.
I think it's still within the 90 days. Do you wish to continue that for till the last day before council goes into recess?
that'll be fine.
The 21st?
Yes.
We'll continue
Yes.
that till next Wednesday, the 21st, item number 8. Okay. Next items?
The next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 9 through 39. Item 9 is a commissioner, and I believe there's a request to continue that for 1 week.
Okay.
Could they do that, please,
All right.
for 1 week? Or when the commissioner can come in, we'll have the clerk check on that. And also continue to tomorrow, December 14th, item number 29. Are you up to 29? Yes, you are.
29. Okay.
You could
There's no
do this. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I
Objection?
believe also item number 37, there was a request on 37 to continue that, and 65.
Okay. If there's no objection, we will continue those items. Any specials, colleagues?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Mr.
Oh, sorry.
14, please.
14, okay.
11.
11, Mr. Cardenas, yes. Mr. Labange? 27 for Ms. Hahn. Any other specials, colleagues? Mr. Zine?
I want to continue something.
Okay, why don't you say that now? Which one would you like to?
30.
Item 30, if there's no objection to continue,
Till Friday.
until Friday, okay? This Friday. All right, that will be continued then. We'll call those special. Let's hold the ordinances, since those require 12 members, on the desk. And the balance, not the ordinances, but all the rest, if we can open the roll on those, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now that we have 12 members, can we take up the ordinances that we've been holding as well?
That would be items 1, 2, and 3. Item 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Okay, please open the roll on those items. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 40 through 98, and 40 is the commissioner. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold the commissioner nomination on the desk, and I believe we have a card on item 82, so let's hold that as well. Any other specials, colleagues? Mr. Parks?
2 and 21 forthwith.
Okay. 2, and what was the other one? 21. Be forthwith on those, okay? Any specials? Yes. Sorry?
91.
91 for Mr. Wesson, 91. Any other specials, colleagues? Seeing none, let's open the roll on the balance of the items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those items are approved.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Weiss.
I'd like to ask that 53 go forthwith to the mayor.
Okay, 53 will be forthwith.
Thank you.
The mayor. All right, next items.
Next items are on the supplemental agenda. Items 99 through 101 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Any specials, colleagues, on the continuation agenda? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those items are approved. Sorry, on the supplementary agenda. And that is all the items we have, Madam Clerk?
Yes, except for the items called special, and there's public comment left, and there is a special meeting. Do you wish to recess the regular meeting and go into the special meeting?
How many items do we have on the special meeting?
There are 2 items.
Okay, let's recess and go into the special meeting. One, I believe, is going to be for closed session, colleagues, so we will hold that on the desk, item 2. Okay, let's call the roll for the special meeting.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Padilla, 13 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Meeting is now in session. Colleagues, we have items 1 and 2. 2 is a closed session item, which we will hold on the table if there's no objection. And item 1, anybody like special?
Item 1, approve the exemption, but instruct LAWA not to fill the position until the salary is set on the
Okay.
special one.
Got a motion from Mr. Zine. If there's no objection to that, nobody wishes to be heard on that. We'll open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote on that. item.
13 ayes.
Okay, well, let's recess the special meeting and go back to the regular meeting. Okay. We will take public comment first, colleagues, as is the custom. So at this point, we'd like to invite forward for public comment today. We'll ask folks to make a line if you can and try to keep your comments, if they've been covered by other speakers, as brief as possible to get as many speakers as we can in, because we have quite a few. But I'd like to invite Lisa Palmer, Douglas Ertman, Kevin Krell, Maria Luisa Colores, and Setsuko Kosake to be our first speakers. If you would just state your name for the record as you come up, please. Thank you. If you're part of a group, too, I understand there's some other folks that are here from Lincoln Place. You can decide which order you'd like to go in. But please begin. And just state your name for the record, please.
Necesito un traductor.
Un momento.
Me llamo María Luisa Colores.
My name is Maria Luisa Colores.
Vivo en Lincoln Place desde hace 12 años en Venice.
I've been living at Lincoln Place since about 12 years ago in Venice.
Estoy aquí representando a las familias trabajadoras que viven en Venice.
And I am here representing the working families of Venice.
Desde la semana pasada, el 6 de diciembre, los sheriffs fueron a sacar a 52 familias.
Since last week, since the 6th of December, the sheriffs came to evict 6 families.
52.
I'm sorry, 52 families, sorry.
And since then, I have been he estado ayunando porque estoy pidiendo la justicia para esas familias trabajadoras que necesitan un lugar sano y seguro para que sus hijos crezcan.
And since then, I've been fighting to help these working families who need fasting. I wasn't able to hear you. Fasting to help these families that need help, these working families that need help.
Estas familias necesitan un lugar seguro y sano para sus hijos. Para eso fueron creados estos departamentos. Esos departamentos fueron creados para servir a las familias, a los hombres que regresaban de la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
These families need a safe and good place, healthy place for their children and their members. That's what these families, these working families, that's what these apartments were created for, the working men who came back from the Second World War.
Estamos aquí para pedir la ayuda de todos los cónsuls, de todo el público, de toda la gente, para que se haga justicia en Lincoln Place.
We are here to ask for justice by all the council members, all the people, all the people for justice at Lincoln Place.
Nuestra vecindad era muy fraterna, nos ayudábamos, mis hijas crecieron ahí, estábamos en un ambiente sano, muy amable y eso es lo que todos los niños necesitan para que puedan crecer seguros y sean personas positivas para la sociedad.
We've been there in a safe and healthy place for a long time, and that's what these families need, a place for their children to grow. It was a very cordial place, a very happy place, and that's what we need now for them to continue to evolve.
Para que nuestra sociedad tenga hombres de provecho en el futuro, esos niños necesitan cuidado hoy para que crezcan bien.
So that our society has good men for the future, these children need care for today so that they can grow properly.
Y por eso estoy aquí pidiendo la ayuda de todos.
That's why I'm here asking for everyone's help.
Y también me uno a la petición de los que están aquí pidiendo más dinero para su salario porque el costo de la vida es muy caro y por eso las familias no pueden pagar rentas más caras.
And I unite with the people who are here asking for more salaries because that is why the families can't pay because life is more expensive.
Thank you to all. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Those people who filled out public comment cards for Lincoln Place, that's special item number 2, and we'll be covering that comment on that item specifically. General public comment are for items that are not on the agenda, so if you would please, if you're here to comment on Lincoln Place, also for your colleagues that are here on Lincoln Place, some of them are out in the hallway. So as this place clears, then they can come in and you can have a fuller discussion and discuss these items and come up to public comment on special item number 2 if you're here for Lincoln Place. Thank you very much.
When will that be?
Special item number 2. And it'll be announced. You'll know it when you hear it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, we have Armando Herman. Armando Herman. Okay, Armando's here. Please come forward. You have the floor, Armando. The time is ticking. Thank you.
Have we recovered from the severe recession? Then why do we continue to be taxed? Why are the taxpayers paying for the revitalization of the building of Los Angeles with inflated government contracts without taxpayer approval? Why do we have to view and take this viewpoint of indefensible extortion and a vicious, inequitable, and illogical source of unnecessary taxation towards people of poverty? Reducing the stock of affordable housing, increasing the crisis with rent control, contracts with developers to build affordable lofts, condos, and suites? I'm for these people here in the black shirts because they do need a raise.
Quiet in the chambers.
I am not the only person living in poverty level, yet we are taxpayers being pushed out of buying and renting in Los Angeles. All of us. Who is to blame for this massive corruption and criminality associated with building and the remodernization of government? Why the businesses of a campaign of ethnic genocide against the people of poverty in Boyle Heights? That's right, the genocides against the people of Boyle Heights. Followed by the power of eminent domain within the next 10 years to 25 years as we get pushed out of our rentals, as we get pushed out of our community. Is that fair? Should I have to go through that type of treatment as a taxpayer along with the rest of you? It's because of this government, these bureaucrats who proliferated at all levels of government. You scoundrels, you politicians who pursue your own livelihoods for lavish living and success. At all costs. What about us? We are the people, we are the taxpayers that deserve a raise and deserve what we need to live in this society that is so bad and disturbed. Not me. Where is your responsibility and accountability to serve the constituents, the taxpayers? I have many things yet to say to you, but you are not able to bear them at present. So are we in recession, or is the government protecting its constituents? I am not public enemy number one. All I'm asking is that I don't get threatened by Rocky Delgadillo's office on telephone calls, that I don't get threatened by people from Building and Safety, Housing Authority. That's right, I got time. I came this morning because I'm sick, and I'm here because I'm sick and tired of it. And you can listen today because I'm a taxpayer. And so forth. So I say to all of you here today, Mr. Rosendahl, and what about yourself, Mr. Huizar? Are you going to let them people in Boyle Heights get pounded on by these people, these developers, these people of interest for their own pockets? No. I read the paper. I read about all this, and I see it for myself. I'm tired of the blight in my community. I am tired of the graffiti in my community. I am tired of the little and the restricted services that you are providing towards myself and my constituents and my neighbors in our community. And all I ask is that you be a little more appropriate and cooperative to service us the way you should. Thank you.
Thank you. Quiet in the chambers. Mr. Aquino, Bob Aquino, please. Bob Aquino. Next, we have Bob Aquino. Please come forward. Bob. Bob, you have the floor.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you today. We're back because justice has still not been served for my members, your employees. No one can argue against the issue of equal pay for equal work. And it's simply not true that the city only has the ability to be fair to some of its employees. I hold in my hands a report from the Comptroller dated September 14th. And in this report is information that belies the fact that there's a real deficit in the city. In fact, what this report says, and I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to read it. If you hadn't, you should ask your CAO for it. This establishes that surplus funds have been deposited each of the last 5 years, and in fact, last year there was a record amount transferred into the reserve. The prediction for this fiscal year, 05-06, is that $131 million or more will be deposited to the reserve. And in fact, the city's revenues are running over 9% more than what the CAO forecasted in this fiscal year. EAA members, your employees, are not going to sit idly by and watch their wages be eroded. As a result of this, there will be further disruption and further noise until justice is served. I've had a little gift placed at each of your desks, or at least I hope I have. I don't know if we got them forward. But it's a little reminder, and here's what it's a reminder for. Your employees, my EAA members, will once again become the dedicated and sweet employees they've always been, right after they've been given equal pay for equal work. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Bob, Mr. Aquino, Mr. Aquino. Mr. Aquino, have you concluded your comments for today?
Pardon me?
Have you concluded your
Yes,
comments?
I have.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Mr. Aquino. Thank you. Next, for public, please, we have more public comment. Let's respect the other speakers. If you are on your way out of the chambers, please do it quietly. Thank you very much. Lisa Palmer, a member of the public, filled out a card. Lisa Palmer. Lisa Palmer, if you're here, Lisa, can you please indicate whether you're here on the Lincoln Place? Did Lisa already speak? Okay, we'll hold that card. Okay. Next. That concludes general public comment for today's council meeting. That concludes general public comment. General public comment is now closed. We now move to the items on the agenda. First, we'd like to announce forthwith on items 1, 2, and 3 that have already been voted on. And our first item on the agenda is?
Next item, Mr. President, would be item number 40, and that's confirmation of Mr. Steve Juarez to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners.
Okay, Mr. Juarez, Mr. Steve Juarez, we are now on item number 40. Please come forward to the table. Okay. Council members who wish to question, interrogate, or otherwise ask questions of Mr. Juarez. Mr. Zine.
Good morning. Good morning. If we're looking at the scope of pensions, General Motors, Delta Airlines, Verizon, a number of those retirees who depend on those pensions are finding sad news, and that those pension checks are being reduced. Do you have insight into how we can maintain the stability of the police and fire pension system, which is separate from many other pension systems in the state?
Sure. Insight may be too strong a word, but I do believe that we have to enhance the performance of the fund through appropriate asset allocation. I think through stronger diversity in terms of what the current fund is investing in, streamlining administrative costs. I think that's another option. Clearly, keeping the fund 100% actuarially sound, I think, will be my goal, and looking to hold investment managers accountable. I think that's clearly. I think over a 5-year period, the fund has underperformed, and we need to take a serious look at how we get out of that sort of current direction. I think it's done much better in the 3 and 1 year outlook, but nevertheless, it's going to be a chore, but I think we can do it.
I know that it was 103% funded in the past, and it's less than 100% now.
That's my understanding.
And there's a concern, retirees who are concerned about when they read the articles about these other pension plans that are being reduced, when many retirees have no other option in the police and fire, they don't have Social Security. Most of them rely on that, those many retirees that have done their public service. I just want you to make sure that you keep watchful for those dedicated personnel. There's CalPERS and there's all these pension funds.
Sure.
We know what's happened in San Diego and Orange County, and it's a very, very important position that the mayor's nominated you for. Do you have an experience in that arena, investments or anything in that arena?
I do. I do primarily from service on other boards and also through my work at the Getty Trust. And so I'm dedicated to that, and I commit to the city and to you, Councilman Zine, that I'll do everything in my power to make sure that the fund is financially viable.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next, Mr. Parks.
Good morning. How are you?
Good,
and
Councilman.
we're sorry we weren't able to get to scheduling and budget and finance to have the review, but I appreciate you coming forward on a very important commission in the city. But I wanted to ask you on an item on your resume that deals, at one time you were the executive director of the California Debt Advisory Commission. What did that entail?
That's a commission that's under the auspices of the State Treasurer's Office. That commission advises all state and local governments and special districts on the use of publicly financed debt.
Okay.
Basically making sure that they're doing it in a way that's financially sound, legally correct, and almost serving as a quasi-financial advisor to those institutions.
Is it that were you responsible for publishing the monthly book that shows debt throughout the state?
That's correct.
Okay. We've had discussions through in the city of LA and a great deal of issues dealing with debt on negotiated versus competitive, and it appears, at least statewide, that that's a major trend, 90+% in
Right.
negotiated. The city has a tendency to stay more conservative with the competitive. And I just want to get your sense of viewing it statewide. Why has that trend moved so far to the negotiated side, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, I think the time that it takes to do competitive bidding is actually one of the drawbacks to it, but clearly it works when you basically have a commodity, when everybody understands what they're bidding on. During the time that I was with the commission, we did an excellent primer on competitive versus negotiated, and there's conditions that spell out when you should definitely consider doing negotiated deals versus when you should consider competitive deals. I would suggest that the trend toward negotiated is really almost a reflection of the marketplace too. Mm-hmm. I think that underwriters have become much more comfortable in terms of developing relationships with public entities, and that's driven and I think the oversight over the industry has grown so that people feel more comfortable that as long as there has been a process by which the review of a particular debt issue is under some type of scrutiny, doing it on a negotiated basis makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think, you can always argue for that competition breeds better pricing. That's not always true with regard to debt issues, but it's certainly something that the city is probably has thought out, and to the extent that it chooses to continue to do competitive bidding, probably makes sense for the city.
Have you found, in the sense of certain types of deals that may lean more towards negotiated than competitive, as opposed to just the viability of the market?
Yes, a lot of times with regard to what we call story bonds.
Which kind?
With regard to what we call story bonds,
Mm-hmm.
where there's actually, it's not that market doesn't quite understand the issuer, so it might be a special district or a smaller entity where in order to properly price and sell the bonds, you have to have people out there doing pre-marketing, which usually is associated with negotiated bonds. And so if you don't have that, if you rely on a strict competitive bid where people don't have the information they need to go out and interest investors in that particular bond being sold by someone who's not known to the market, I think it can create pricing differences that a negotiated sale, where the underwriter has the opportunity to go out and actually work with investors and explain who the district is, what type of debt it is, what the financial security is, actually results in a better price.
Okay. Also, from your experience, have you found that, quote, on California debt, that primarily it's basically purchased by residents of California, or is that something?
No, California is a national commodity in terms of its debt profile. At the Getty, we actually issue debt on a tax-exempt basis, and we sell across the country. Clearly, the advantage, what we call the double-barrel advantage of both getting state and federal taxation, makes it very enticing to California investors. But I think if you look at the California profile, it's sold throughout the country. California has a name, and the city of Los Angeles has a name, and you'll find that your buyers come from the vast array of
Thank you very much. I'd like to, if you have access to that primer that you mentioned.
I'll make sure you get one.
I appreciate that. Colleagues, although we weren't able to have Mr. Juarez before the committee, certainly his resume speaks for itself from his background in a variety of economic issues dealing with throughout the state of California. We would certainly strongly recommend that we place him on one of the most important commissions, the Fire and Police Pension Commission, particularly in a time when we see throughout the state of California pensions going in deficit. We can just view what's happening at the state level. We can see what's going in San Diego. We can just look around and see that there are some tensions in the whole area of pensions. And plus, we know that our pension contributions, in order for them to stay at 100%, our allocation on a city level are jumping astronomically. And so we look forward to your financial background and your interest in that area to really keep those two pension plans solvent. Not that I have a personal concern in getting a check once a month, but there is an issue where several thousand people on pension and several more thousand in city employment are expecting a pension at some time, and having a solvent pension plan is the goal, should be the highest priority for the city. And so thank you for coming forward for this service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Next, Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Juarez, for dedicating all the abundant extra time I'm sure you have in your life to our city and to the constituents of the city of Los Angeles. I say that jokingly because I know how busy you are and I know how precious your time is, so I want to personally thank you for dedicating your time and your expertise and your heart into doing this very important work. Public finance is something that's usually under the radar with our constituents, yet at the same time, you look at the city of Los Angeles, in any given year, we may be involved in public financing or retirement systems in the billions and billions of dollars. So it's really important that people like yourself not only be diligent, but you be knowledgeable and you be open to what we need to do that's responsible, yet at the same time, it's fair to the community that works within that industry. The industry of public finance, is that an industry that is growing, or is that an industry that is foreign? Is it an industry that's domestic? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, I think the industry here in the United States is basically a domestic industry, even though that obviously the major firms that do public finance are global. I mean, they're international in their scope. The people that I'm familiar with, that I tend to work with, are all homegrown, typically, and very much with concentrations in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, San Diego. I think we're well represented in the public industry on the private side.
Thank you. I know you to be, I guess, favoring one of our local universities, UCLA, close to your heart?
Very much so.
Yes, and USC probably is not.
Well, I went to SC graduate school, but I both worked and went to school at UCLA, so that tends to be where I pledge my allegiance.
That's where your heart is.
Yes.
I bring that up because
careful, Mr. Cardenas.
I bring that up, Mr. Chair, because I just wanted to point out that it's just fine, in my opinion, to have biases or to feel allegiance to a particular place or organization or what have you when it's all about fun and games. But when it comes to public finance, I think it's very important that we understand what the record is and what is responsible. Councilmember Parks used a word that I prefer not to use when you look at negotiated versus competitive. He used a specific word that jumped out at me that said that maybe in the city of Los Angeles we're not as adherent to the broader trend of having negotiated financial dealings, because we tend to favor being more conservative. That's the word that I take exception with. I don't think negotiated versus competitive has anything to do with conservative. I think maybe it has more to do with people's favoritisms and people's unwillingness to just look, step back and say, I have my personal biases or what have you, but I need to look at what's best for the city of Los Angeles and the people of Los Angeles. So I think that you and I are going to have future discussions about that and how we do that in this city, and I look forward to learning from you as I'm an elected member of this body, responsible to the voters and the people, the constituents of Los Angeles. And this is an area that once again, I thank you for bringing your expertise and your willingness to dedicate your free time. This is something that people like Councilmember Parks and myself get paid to do, and we're ready to learn with you and to grow with you and move this city in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, we're ready to vote. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tally the vote.
12 ayes.
Commissioner, congratulations. Thank you for being willing to serve the people of LA. We
I
appreciate
look forward to it. Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 11 was called special by Councilmember Cardenas, and a report has been submitted by the committee this morning, and I believe there's a minor change to it that will be coming shortly into council.
Okay, Mr. Cardenas.
Mr. Chair, we need to put this item over because the report has not been delivered to the council. So we'll put this item over.
It's still being amended.
It's still being amended, so we'll put this item over until we get the proper documents in council.
Okay,
Yes,
be
we'll
held
hold
on
it
the desk. Next item.
Next item is item 14, and that was called special by Councilmember Smith.
Being at the chair, is there a, we'll put that one over momentarily also.
Okay, the next item then would be item number 27, and that was called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn. Item 27.
That would be me. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to just make this very clear, and I would like to ask the city attorney to include in the lease agreement a clause that would allow for the relocation of this business in the event that the redevelopment occurs at the LA Mall. I just want to make sure that every lease we're entering into now at the LA Mall specifically mentions the possibility that we may be doing a complete redevelopment, renovation, and a makeover, extreme makeover of the LA Mall, and that some of these businesses might have to be relocated. Just want to make sure that's in the lease documents. I've talked about it. I brought it up at committee. I think it's in the committee report, but I wanted to make this a verbal amendment today. Do I have support on that from my colleagues?
I have support. Second.
Did you get that? Did you get that, Mr. City Attorney?
Okay, amendment to the item. Okay, thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Labange.
Thank you very much. Is someone from General Services here for this issue here? Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Perry, for your leadership in the Civic Center all the time, and thank you for your leadership, Ms. Hahn, on this issue here. Just as we're talking about the mall, when the mall was developed in the 70s, it was this concept like the Arco Towers over there, all this underground shopping district. Is there any thought that some of these are going to be brought up to street level and create street life in the Triforium area or thereabouts?
John Sawyer, Department of General Services. General Services, about 7 years ago, did put together a comprehensive long-range program to bring the mall up to surface. As you know, and as Councilwoman Hahn knows, subterranean malls are a thing of the past. That was a concept that was experimented in when it was built, but it never really panned out, and most of all of them have been unsuccessful. And we need to look at innovative ways to bring those shops to the top level, and it's not an inexpensive endeavor, and so we will need help. General Services is, under the leadership of Councilwoman Hahn, will be able to bring some expertise of people from the outside who do this every day.
Okay, so I'm glad you're focusing on that because I think it should be, and somehow try to connect it to El Pueblo, the birthplace of Los Angeles. And also, just a little quick question, Mr. Joan Sawyer. The Triforium, does the music box work?
I need to check.
Check and let me know.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have Councilmember Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to urge General Services to continue its approach in being consistent in issuing the RFP for whatever direction this mall will take in now and in the future. And I appreciate Ms. Han's input on at least including the language of disclosure that plans will change in the future, but also keeping in mind there have been a number of interests who have relied on the representation by the city that we will issue an RFP, and I think that's been pending for more than a year. Am I correct?
The RFP that Councilwoman
Go in
Han.
and inhabit the large space that I think
Oh,
is...
that one?
Yeah,
yes,
that one.
Yes.
Is that still pending?
That's still pending.
Okay, and then when do you expect that one to be issued? Because that's a pretty significant space that's been empty for a very long time.
Oh, do you mean the Bob's Big Boy space?
Yes.
Actually, we have a tenant, California PETA will be there. We expect to have the build-outs done in about 4 to 6 months. They're going through the permit process right now.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Zine.
Don't jump out of that hot seat that quick. There was a lady, and I can't remember her name, who was in charge of that operation.
Joy
Joyce?
O'Bray?
Yes. Is she still involved in that?
Yes, she is.
Because she's done a great job trying to salvage what was really falling apart. So I just wanted to give her credit. All the time that she spent trying to make it a nice facility. And I know that there wasn't a lot of support financially to help make it happen for a variety of reasons. But I just want to acknowledge the work that she done. I'd met with her a number of times when I was on that committee that oversaw that to try and spruce it up and to bring more businesses in, more restaurants, more activities. Is the Bob still vacant?
The Bob is still vacant, but we have a tenant, California PETA, as the councilwoman was asking earlier about. And hopefully the build-out shouldn't take more than 4 to 6 months to be done.
Okay, and I haven't been down there in a while. How many other stores are vacant, storefronts?
With this, Sbarro's and some others that are coming forward, I think we'll be near capacity, but I can find out for you. But we're close to filling most of the vacant spots.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more council members who wish to speak, Ms. Han.
Again, just to let everybody know, it's beyond the point where we're going to salvage or spruce it up or get good tenants. The fact of the matter is we are in the dark ages when it comes to running that mall. And that is not one of the things that we as a city do well, is run a mall. And until we have a complete extreme makeover, until we take an opportunity of the new hours that are happening all around, we have an urban village growing up around us in downtown Los Angeles. It's going to be a 24/7 living down here in downtown Los Angeles. We're still operating 8 to 5 at the mall, so we're missing out on even attracting good tenants because a lot of these tenants don't want to go in a place where they can't take advantage of the downtown living environment. So it's going to be an extreme makeover, and I just want to make sure that we've got all the tenants on notice. That we're going to start looking at an extreme makeover, and everyone's got to be willing to work with us and relocate, and we got great plans for this place, but it's beyond salvaging, it's beyond sprucing up, it's beyond really trying to attract decent tenants. We've got to rethink the way that mall can operate, not only for our employees, but really for this whole 24/7 living environment that's going to happen and that's exploding in downtown Los Angeles. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time to vote on this item as amended by Ms. Han. Any comments from our city attorney?
Time to vote.
Okay, thank you. Open the roll. Close the roll. Announce the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. That item is approved. Next item on the agenda.
Mr. President, item 14 was being held on the desk for Mr. Smith.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We wanted to ask up a question. I don't know if there's someone from the planning department here yet on this item. If not, well, I just want to get in the record that we received a letter from the neighborhood council late last week citing that the director of planning had rejected the original plan and had gone against what Plum had done. And it was really, I want to bring this out because I think we need to answer those questions since they're not here. Hopefully somebody is watching on television. But the letter that they were citing is a pro forma letter that automatically goes out when the Planning Commission took a position and there's appeal before Plum, that the Director of Planning automatically sends a letter sustaining the action of the Planning Commission because that is his responsibility to do so, acting on their behalf. What Plum did was to overturn the Planning Commission and allow 2 homes to go on a lot rather than 3. And so what we're really arguing about is 1 home. The Plum Committee did the right thing because the neighboring property has 2 homes on it, and the master plan allows for 2 homes. And it was the decision of the Plum Committee, and rightfully so, that the action of the Planning Commission was in error, that the request for 2 homes was within the master plan, was appropriate, and that the letter from the neighborhood council saying that the Director of Planning had disapproved the action of Plum really dealt with an automatic pro forma letter that he must sign as the file is directed to Plum. And so I just wanted that on the record. I don't know if Mr. Reyes wants to comment on that or not, but I think that summarizes the cases so that if anyone from the neighborhood council, North Hills West neighborhood council is watching, that I thank you for your letter. You took a little bit out of context the letter from the planning director and cited it, but it was really an automatic citation that goes on the file as it goes through the process here. And I believe that the actions of the Plum Committee were correct and ask for your vote in support of the recommendation of Plum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No more comment. This item is now ready for a vote. Open the roll. Close the roll and announce the vote.
13 ayes.
That item is approved. Next item on the agenda,
Item number 82, call special for a card from the public.
item 82. Public comment for item number 82. Sheila Bernard, please come forward. We're now on item 82. We have several public comment cards. Please be prepared to speak. Please proceed.
Good morning, council members. On December 6th, the city attorney went into court on the matter of Lincoln Place.
I'm sorry, Sheila. You're going to be speaking on special item number 2. I'm
That's
sorry.
correct.
I called you out of order. We're on item 82. I'm sorry
Oh.
about that.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay. Hold on, please. Let me make sure we have, there we go. On item 82, we have one public comment card. Mr. Herman A. Mr. Herman A.
Yes, regarding item number 82, I am totally against it for the reason and the purpose of this is that this street furniture revenue was for the area of Boyle Heights, and it was supposed to be used to enhance the area of Boyle Heights based on all these returnable items at this area, which was known as the Clarks. And then sometime down the road, under Antonio Vergosa, he implemented this idea about using this money under this item to create an art environment in Boyle Heights. Now, whether or not this is appropriate or not, I feel it is not. Boyle Heights does not need any more art than what it already has. What we need is for this local government to provide us with the necessities of life, give us an equal opportunity to grow with you and not against you, and have Mr. Herman here fighting for the rights of constituents, fighting for the rights of the people of Los Angeles to understand what's going on really. So I say to you today, stop this. It's ridiculous. It's so inappropriate that men and women can do this to the humanity of people, regardless of our poverty levels, regardless of our ethnic background or immigrant background. Who cares? That's the reason why you guys are creating these laws and so forth to protect us and help us. So all I ask is you work along with us, the neighborhood, the constituents, those of us who are the long-timers there, like myself. And as I forgot to mention earlier, and I'll mention it today, I hold the city of Los Angeles today accountable for whatever actions come against myself, Armando Herman, due to the reason that I come and speak about things that are not heard and open as they were open today. And if I offend anyone personally, don't take it personally. I'm speaking from the heart, speaking from the mind, speaking on behalf of all the people in the Boyle Heights area. So yes, I'm against this, totally against it. If you're going to use this $30,000 in El Sereno and Huntington Park and Huntington Drive and Eastern Avenue, then you're going to have to split that up 4 ways. Provide some of that into the area of Boyle Heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other speakers on the City Council, that item is now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item has been approved. Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item is item number 91, and that was called special by Councilmember Wesson, and there is a substitute motion that has been distributed to the council.
Councilmember Wesson.
Yes, Madam President, I basically want to substitute my previous motion with a new motion that's been seconded by Councilmember Parks and Councilmember Perry, and I will reserve I will not make any comments on this item until Friday when we honor or present the resolution to Mr. Richard Pryor's family, and I would ask that other council members wait until Friday as well.
Okay, so that substitute motion is now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Mr. Parks.
Ask that we go forthwith on 54, 55, and 22, and reconsideration on 64 and 75.
Reconsideration on 64 and
75. Yes, we have a amending motion on 64 that's been circulated, and number 75, we ask that that go to committee. We promised Mrs. Perry would get it back in January before the event.
Okay, so first we'll reconsider items number 64 and item 75. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Those items are now before us.
Okay.
Item 64.
64 is an amending motion with new direction to DOT, which is self-explanatory, and then so we can go at that separately.
Okay. Item 64, the amendment is before all of you. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Item number 75,
75, we just asked that it go to Budget and Finance Committee.
and Ms. Perry's fine with that.
Fine with that, and we'll get it back in January. And we hope, what the reason for that is we're going to have the waiver policy in council in January, so we want to bring all of these as a package.
Okay, so that item will be continued until January. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Item number 11 was still being held on the desk for Mr. Cardenas.
Who had called item 11 special?
We're ready. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Cardenas.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'd like appropriate staff to come forward, either from the City Attorney's Office and/or the Department of Water and Power. Item number 11, the Pine Tree Wind Project. The report is being distributed, and also I'd like to let my colleagues know that along with the report, I'd like to make a substitute of item number 1, some technical amendment to item number 1, and I'll read, which has, council has considered the EIR and all comments it has received concerning the EIR and hereby adopt the findings of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners contained in Board Resolution 005-241. That's a technical amendment to item number 1 in the report from committee. Thank you very much. I wanted to take this opportunity in the committee hearing. We don't have the benefit of having the cameras on. I'd like to go through a couple of issues here so that the public understand what the magnitude of this issue is, and so that they understand that this is not the last time we're going to be contemplating or delving into contracts and or purchasing clean energy for the people of Los Angeles and for to improve the environment. This is a wind farm. This is something that people have seen along some of our highways throughout California and other parts of the world, where they see these big wind turbines, and they create energy. This particular project is a project where we're going to be buying energy, we're going to own the project, and what is the magnitude of this purchase in dollars? Time, please.
Mobashir from Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. This project consists of 120 megawatts of wind power. Would be built in the Tehachapi, about 12 miles north of city of Mojave. There will be 80 turbines, GE turbines. Each turbine will be 1.5 megawatts, and in total will give us 120 megawatts. The energy which will be produced by this will be like 340 gigawatts, which would essentially be sufficient for almost about 100,000 customers, LADWP residents. These will help us meet about 1.5% of our RPS, which is a renewable portfolio standard, which the city approved in May last year, which will be, our goal is to be 20% by 2017. And there's a consideration to also have an accelerated program, which our board is discussing today. Our Board of Commissioners are discussing having an accelerated program to go to 20% by 2010. So this is towards getting to that ultimate goal of 20%. This and we have other projects which we brought through the council before. This would add on into those, and hopefully we'll be back here shortly with few other projects which would help us get to the target.
Again, this is about a $239 million commitment just on basically the purchase price or the initial investment in this project, correct?
That is correct.
What is the estimated cost per kilowatt coming out of this project toward the constituents of the city of Los Angeles?
The estimated cost of the total project cost is going to be about 6.6 cents per kilowatt hours, which is about $66 per megawatt hours, depending how you want to look at it. But that is comparable considering the gas prices today. It's a lot cheaper than would be produced using the $13 per MMBTU gas from our gas turbines.
So basically, this is not the most expensive energy on the market, yet it's not the cheapest.
That is correct.
But it is one of the cleanest.
It is the cleanest. It is one of the, today, wind in general from all the renewable is the cheapest around. So we are tapping into the very most cost-effective renewables to put to our portfolio today. Of course, wind, the industry has been moving fast, and there's been a lot of demand that has pushed the price a little higher.
What's the blended rate, or what's the average pennies per kilowatt that we're actually paying for in running the Department of Water and Power?
With the gas price the way it is today is a little over 5 cents per kilowatt hours.
And what was it a year ago or so before the gas prices started to go up the way they are?
About 4 cents, 4.2 cents.
Wow, so it's gone up about 20% or 25% actually?
That is correct.
Okay. So basically, I wanted to point that out because I think it's important that our constituents understand that these are big-time decisions. These are big-time issues. But one of the things I wanted people to understand is that we as a city are committed, and the department has committed as well, and this is part of it, as you pointed out. We're committed to making sure that 2 out of every 10 days that people use their electricity, 2 out of every 10 days that any company in the city of Los Angeles uses electricity, that's going to be the cleanest energy available to mankind on Earth. Not just to California, not just to the United States, just on Earth. And this is perhaps one of the cleanest, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so this is something that we embarked on a few years ago. This is something that matter of fact, former Mayor Hahn actually announced this, and we're actually following through with that commitment. And as you mentioned earlier, the Mayor Villaraigosa and us as council members are committed to going beyond getting to 2 days out of every 10 by 2017. We want to get to 2 days out of every 10 having the cleanest energy available to man as soon as maybe the next few years.
2010.
Or before 2017. So we're going to be very aggressive about this. I just want to let the constituents know we need to let you, as we are letting you know today, it's a little bit more expensive than what we've had to pay yesterday, but I think it's an investment that we're going to be making for our constituents today and also for generations in the future. And there are other caveats that go along with this. The more that we buy this kind of energy, the more the scientists and the businesses look for ways to put more of this energy on the market, which hopefully will be a little cheaper and also more abundant, which means we can get more and more. And then sooner or later, one council member or a mayor or somebody is going to say, let's get to 30%, 3 days out of every 10 days that we have the cleanest energy available to man. Maybe that'll be me, maybe that'll be Mr. Rosendahl, maybe it'll be Mayor Villaraigosa or what have you, but this is what we're embarking on today. I just wanted to share that with our constituents so they understand that I think this is what they want, and this is something that we're embarking on, and we're doing the responsible thing today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, I want to applaud my colleague and chair of the committee, Tony Cardenas, for the meeting we just had this morning with you all, where we thoroughly vetted this project. And I obviously agree with him that 1.5% of renewable is another step in the right direction. Two big issues for me. Why aren't we buying the land? Because in 20 years from now, I won't be on this council, and those people who own that land might want to charge us more, especially when we're investing $260 million or there's about. Can we go back and negotiate with them and get an option to purchase it so that it can be a property that we can have for us in the city?
At this point, as I mentioned in the committee meeting, that option was not provided to us because that is how the project was developed. But definitely, that's a consideration for us, and we'll take that back, and we'll negotiate hard to make that happen.
It would be great, because when we invest in something like this, we don't need to be bargained with afterwards. The land right now is at a more reasonable rate. Second issue, could we see a multi-purpose opportunity and maybe put down some of those things that catch the sunlight? What do we call that?
Solar.
That's right.
Solar photovoltaics.
Could we put the solar vortex on the grounds around it so we get a double whammy on that piece of land? Possible?
That is a possibility in the future. I guess typically with solar, the solar radiation and the level of solar radiation does make, sometimes it does make situation more feasible. The area where we'll be putting the wind turbines are very rugged terrain, so that may be a little challenge from putting solar photovoltaics, but definitely that would be a consideration when we do get the project. The first thing first, then we'll definitely have another crack at putting some other.
Thank you for bringing all this before us, and full steam ahead. Let's get those turbines going, and let's get that. Did you want to say something? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's get the renewable, more the merrier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas and Mr. Rosendahl. The item is now before us, colleagues. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Thank you very much. Next order of business.
Madam President, do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Yes, I know we also have public comment cards on the closed session.
Yes, Madam President, but those are in the special meeting, so it would be good if council could recess this meeting and go back into the special meeting to handle the closed session.
Why don't you go ahead and close the items out in our regular scheduled meeting, and then we'll go to the special.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those have been posted and referred.
Their excuses on the desk. Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused Wednesday, December 14th to leave at 11:30 for city business. That meets council policy.
That item's been approved.
And Council President Padilla requests to be excused Wednesday, December 14th to leave at noon for city business. That also meets council policy.
That item's been approved as well.
And that would clear the desk to recess this meeting and go into closed session.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, we're now going into executive session. Madam Clerk?
And that's of the special meeting. And then do you wish to take up public comment before taking the closed session item?
Yes, I'd like to, and I'd like to acknowledge Council Member Rosendahl first before we begin that public session, and also to indicate if we give 10 minutes, is that in the public comment period? How would you like to do that?
Thank you, Madam President, and thanks colleagues on the council to hear this item again. And it is an item of great importance, not only to me and the 11th District and the 52 families that were evicted on the 6th of December, which will be an infamy. But it is an impact on all of us around this horseshoe of how do we keep apartments and affordable housing in this great city. We've talked about inclusionary zoning of how we create affordable housing. In my district, 50% of my constituents are renters. Right now, there is an Ellis Act, a statewide act, that must be modified dramatically from its present form because that act is allowing developers to strip out of my district and throughout the city the middle class. The middle class and the working class.
Mr. President, hold on one second. If we could have everyone quiet in the chambers, please.
Thank you, Madam President. The middle class and the working class are threatened by developers who are able to purchase an apartment complex and by right say we're getting out of the rental business, enact the Ellis Act that then throws out literally the people who live in those buildings. So I'm going to be working with Sacramento to create stronger legislation that protects the middle class. We have to take this Ellis Act and radically modify it. Secondly, frankly, we need visionary developers that will work with tenants in giving them the first right to purchase their properties and giving them the bank financing so that they can stay in their units. And I say if we can't move quickly with this, I'm going to propose a moratorium, at least in my district, to condo development. We're going to be going into closed session in a second over what happened on the 6th. 52 of my families the door was knocked on, they were told they had 5 minutes to get their stuff and get out. One woman was crying in my arms, her 2 kids were in school and she couldn't even get the clothes to put them on when they came home from school. Another one of my constituents is on a hunger strike and has 2 young children, and she's going to stay on this strike until she sees some other action. So it's a very serious issue, and when we get into closed session, I look forward to talking about some of the legal aspects that maybe we have in front of us to deal with. But I'd like to use this as a preface, Madam President, to allow the community to come up and speak and share with us their concerns about the present situation.
Okay, if we could put 10 minutes on the board. Thank you. I'd like to ask Sheila Bernard, Laura Salagi, David Ewing, and James Smith.
Good morning, council members. On December 6th, the city attorney went before the court and asked to be released from the obligation to enforce the conditions of the tract map. It's time to get outside counsel who will not tell you whether or not to enforce the conditions, but will tell you how to enforce the conditions of the tract map for Lincoln Place. The city attorney seems not to want to do that. The only way Aimco has out of the tract map on that property is through an open, public process that provides a win-win solution for all the parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
Good morning, everyone. I would like to make sure that everybody has received this invitation for this coming Sunday to Lincoln Place for a tour by the LA Conservancy and Lincoln Place tenants and policymakers. And it's an opportunity to see what you will be talking about. And if anybody does not have one of these, we will pass them out, and we will call tomorrow to make sure that you're coming. Thanks.
David Ewing, followed by James Smith, Yolanda Gonzalez, and Aaron Grayson, excuse me.
Good morning, I'm David Ewing. I live at 1234 Preston Way in Venice, and I'm a member of the Venice Community Coalition, which is a local land use policy group. Aimco, the owner of Lincoln Place, is one of the largest owners, if not the largest owner, of affordable housing in the country, besides HUD. What's happening at Lincoln Place is not just happening at Lincoln Place, it's happening to properties all over the country. The AIMCO's method of operation is to take affordable housing off the market and convert it to market rate and often to sell it off for condos. They employ a number of methods of clearing the apartments of tenants in the process. In San Francisco, they were fined $3 million for maintaining an uninhabitable building where plaster was falling from the ceiling and giving people concussions. In another case, they evacuated an entire building because of toxic mold. This frees the building of tenants and allows them to convert to market rate or to condos. They also pay off HUD mortgages. They pick up HUD properties, pay off the mortgages, and then they can get rid of the Section 8 tenants. This is going on all over the country. This is a huge company, and removal and conversion of affordable housing is part of their business plan. This is not an isolated thing. AIMCO owns or manages over 20 properties in the Los Angeles area. If you can't stop them on Lincoln Place, where there are legal, where their bad behavior is manifest, then where are you going to stop them? Which one of these properties is going to be the one? Which group of tenants is finally going to be the one that, where you stand up and say enough is enough? I know you can't control the real estate market, but you can control bad behavior, and you can keep people from breaking the law. And I sincerely beg you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. James Smith, followed by Yolanda Gonzalez and Aaron Grayson and Suzanne Thompson.
I'm James Smith. I'm speaking on behalf of the Lincoln Place Support Committee, which is a new Venice community response to the eviction of as many as 200 seniors, disabled, and low-income tenants. Some have already happened, and some will happen between now and March unless you do something to stop it. We're also concerned about the possible destruction of at least 500 units of affordable housing. At a time when we have an affordable housing crisis in this city, how can you allow 500 units of good, serviceable, affordable housing to be destroyed? How can you allow this corporate giant, AIMCO, the landlord, to refuse to rent these apartments to needy families? You have the power to stop this travesty of evictions and destructions. AIMCO has crossed the line. They are no longer a good corporate citizen. They are no longer working in the public good. You have the power of eminent domain. I urge you to use it for the public good. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez?
Good afternoon. Yolanda Gonzalez, Second Vice President for the Grassroots Neighborhood Council, past Vice President for the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. Council, I am here as a landlord because when we have meetings in the 14th District to instruct the landlord and the tenant and its responsibilities, we get passed out a landlord-tenant book which is produced by our city. I would like to explain to you that this is a waste of money and a waste of time because it does not work as to what's going on here. I am here to defend these tenants because these tenants have paid their rent, have been good tenants, and I wish I had them as tenants myself. But God forbid if I am taken to court, not because I'm evicting a tenant because of the lack of payment of rent, but because they're in fraud, they have 2 social security numbers, they're illegal, I own affordable housing, and God forbid if I have to spend $8,000 to $20,000 in evictions, and then I'm the bad landlord, but these are the good tenants. I wish I had them. I stand in court. This is unacceptable. I left Mexico for corruption. I divorced myself from Mexico because of the corruption we have going on. And I became an American citizen because I still believe in the American system and its laws. Thank you. And I'd like to say something. Most of you don't know it, but my life has been threatened. Our lives have been threatened. And not only that, our city representatives have really made some strong issues, not only in the 14th district, but in the 11th district. The 11th district holds the most powerful vote in this city council. But let me tell you something, the 14th district has the highest level of population. We know how to move people today. And thanks to Jose Huizar, he sits in that seat today because we know where to get the votes.
Thank you very much. Aaron Grayson, followed by Suzanne Thompson, Don Gakin, sorry.
Good day, council members, Hahn, Labange, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Smith, Perry, Reyes. I don't see Perry, but thank you all for listening to us and being here. My name is Aaron Grayson, and I am a freelance artist and designer and work from my home. As of December 6, 2005, I was evicted from my apartment and community at Lincoln Place. That means I no longer have a home or a place to work. The tenants insist upon fair results, fairly obtained in an open and public process. The city must decry the tactics of the developer, record the track map immediately, close any loopholes, revise the Ellis Act, and please hire outside counsel. Mr. Delgadillo has proved in court on the day of the evictions that he stands alongside the mega housing corporation that owns the state historical resource of Lincoln Place. I respect the fact that the city needs to make money, but if you continue in this manner, nobody will be able to recognize the faces of the buildings or the people of Los Angeles. Lincoln Place is an example of social conscience within the government of the United States. If you save the buildings and the people, you will continue to contribute to the positive side of American history. If not, then you will be more in line with conquistadores.
Thank you.
Good morning, council members. I'm here with my sprained ankle because this is a very important
Just
cause.
your name,
I'm
please.
Suzanne
Thank you.
Thompson. I'm former Grassroots Venice Neighborhood Council president and currently here as a Lincoln Place Tenant Support Group member. And there are things you can do, and there's a lot of things that have been said already. And basically, I'd just like to reiterate that you can stop further evictions. Please stop the further evictions. There are people here that are going to be out on the streets, mostly seniors and people that are disabled. And you can hire outside attorney to take this on. City Attorney member Delgadillo is not willing to take this on. So we need you to take action and bring on a outside counsel on this and enforce the track map conditions, as Aaron was just saying. And please do the right thing. We have a housing shortage. Why are you tearing down affordable housing? Please do the right thing. And thank you, Council Member Rosendahl, for your leadership on this. We really appreciate it.
Ms. Rosendahl.
Yes, Madam President, I know we asked for 10 minutes, and if I could ask the indulgence of my colleagues to allow them all to speak on this issue, if we could have another 10 minutes for them to continue this, appreciate it.
We shall do.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Don, sorry, I can't read your last name, Gregan? Hector Jimenez?
Don Gagan, just
Gagan,
like
I'm
our
sorry, Don.
You're absolutely right, Bill. You and I fought for this country, and one of the reasons that I voted for you, and not only myself, but most of the votes in the council district, or a great many of them, came out of this, I call it the city of Venice. We voted for Bill almost 80%. Most of the people worked very hard for him, and they worked very hard for him because he's a principled person who stands for what he believes in. And I'm going to tell you something. This eviction at Lincoln Place has galvanized the city of Venice as no other issue has. And we intend to not let this go by because we feel a little bit that we're under assault. We are under assault from developers. I mentioned this last week when I was here, and I'll mention it again. We do not intend to go away. We do not intend to have this city council wash their hands of this issue. We are going to be here today, tomorrow, and the next day. So we beg your indulgence to join with us and to do the right thing and the fair thing to those tenants that are in Lincoln Place. Thank you, Bill, for your leadership. Thank you, City Council, for listening to us.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez. Hector Jimenez.
Hola, mi nombre es Héctor Jiménez.
Hello, my name is Héctor Jiménez.
Y pues el sentimiento que me trae aquí a hablar aquí a los concejales es una soledad profunda.
The sentiment that brings me here to talk to you, council members, is a solitude that is very profound.
Yo sé y estoy seguro y tengo la certeza de que se está llevando a cabo una injusticia con nuestra comunidad.
I know, I am sure, I am certain that there is an injustice being perpetuated on our community.
Tal vez yo no entienda muchos términos legales, tal vez yo no entienda todos esos enredos que tienen las reglas del juego de la ley, pero
Maybe I don't understand a lot of legal terms or all the gobbled up things that the terms of the law have.
pero sí estoy seguro de que se está llevando una injusticia. Yo siento en mi corazón y mi familia está atravesando por algo muy grave. Gracias.
But I do know that this is an injustice. I feel it in my heart, and my family is going through something that is very, very serious. Thank you.
Thank you. Rose Murphy, followed by Douglas Ertman and Kevin Krell and Maria Louise Colores.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Murphy. I've been a member of the Lincoln Place Apartments, a tenant rather, pardon me, for some 40 plus years. And what I want to say is, how much more suffering do we have to undergo? Between evictions and living in Tent City, we are deprived of house and home to feed the pocketbook of a very greedy developer. And if the city keeps ignoring our plight, we are doomed. It is up to you to stop this destruction of a wonderful, affordable community. They are not going out of the rental business at Lincoln Place, but they are emptying the units in order to destroy and develop their own overblown and ridiculous plans. The city and the housing department needs to eminent domain this historic resource, which has been granted historic status. Our fate is in your hands. Thank you very much.
Douglas Ertman, Kevin Krell, Maria Louise Colores.
Good morning. My name is Doug Ertman. I've lived at Lincoln Place for 9 years. As of midnight last night, I am now officially homeless because the sheriffs can lock me out any time now. I brought my sleeping bag. I want you to know that I'm not going away. There is a homeless encampment now in a very public place in the city of LA, and it's not going away. We really need your help. This developer is like Godzilla, breathing fire and crushing buildings under its feet. That's what's happening to our neighborhood. That's what's happening to Venice right now. We need your help. When you go into closed session, I really hope that you don't hear the same argument over and over again, which is, oh, we can't do anything, there's nothing we can do. There are things you can do, and you have to start thinking that way. Please think that way and do something to help us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kevin Krell. There are certainly bigger issues involved than just our tenancies at Lincoln Place and even more than affordable housing and the Ellis Act. What we are up against here and the outrage that we're hearing in the rest of the city and elsewhere in the state have to do with government not being responsible and acting on the behalf of their constituents. We have a unique situation at Lincoln Place where there are conditions attached to the vesting tentative tract map that do not allow tenants to be evicted. They are being evicted anyway, and the city will not take a stand to enforce the agreements between the city and a developer. If you make contracts, parties on both sides need to keep up their ends of the contracts. They're not doing it. You guys are just rolling over. Show some balls. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Luisa Colores.
Hi, my name is Maria Luisa Colores. I will need some help translating because I want to make sure that everybody understands my feelings as a mother and as a provider childcare that I'm working on my home right now. Mi familia está basada en este trabajo que estoy haciendo como proveedora de cuidado infantil. Sé que para los niños es muy importante tener un hogar seguro y un lugar sano para crecer.
My family relies on this work that I do at providing childcare, and I know it's important for children to have a safe and healthy place to be.
Para que tengamos ciudadanos positivos en el futuro, tenemos que tener niños felices ahora. ¿Y cuál es el sentimiento de esos niños segregados hoy? Porque sus padres no tienen dinero para pagar rentas caras.
Children have to have a secure and safe place to be. And what is the feelings that my children are having now because their parents don't have the money to pay the high rents?
Por eso estoy aquí suplicando la ayuda de todos, porque sé que ustedes pueden. Tenemos que crear una comunidad unida y segura, no nada más en Venice, sino en todo California.
I'm here to ask your help because I know that you can give your help. I know you can help us. We need to have a united community, not just in Venice, but everywhere.
Gracias por su atención.
Thank you for your attention.
Our next speakers, Setsuko Kosake, Gloria Morales, Laura Dennehy, and Claire Sasson.
Hello. My name is Setsuko Kosake. I am from Japan. I don't have a translator, but I would just speak in the best ability that I could. I've been living in Lincoln Place for about 9 years. I used to hate Los Angeles. I used to live in Berkeley, but for some reason, I decided to come down here and live. And I chose Lincoln Place to be. And it's one of the greatest places to live for me, for my husband, and for my friends. And this big corporation coming as a bully to kick us out. As of today, I'm going to be homeless. I seriously don't have a place to go tonight, tomorrow night, the day after tomorrow. At the age of 39, I'm beginning to lose my health seriously. The reason unknown. My doctor cannot tell why I'm losing my health. And there's only one thing that I could ask out of you. Please be creative. Think of a way to help us. We have no other people to go to. This is the only group that I can ask for help. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Morales?
Buenos días, mi nombre es Gloria Morales y tengo 74 años de edad.
Good day, my name is Gloria Morales and I am 74 years old.
Y pienso que esta es la peor Navidad que he tenido desde que vivo en Estados Unidos.
And I think I think this is the worst Christmas I've ever had since I moved to the United States.
El no tener casa y no tener dinero para rentar otra es terrible.
Not having a home and not having money to rent another one is horrible.
Y ver todos estos niños que no tienen casa tampoco, que están en la calle y que esperaban una Navidad, están teniendo lo peor estos pobres niños.
And to see these children who now are homeless and were expecting to have a better Christmas is terrible to see these poor children.
Espero que las leyes sean para los pobres y para los ricos, porque lo que veo es nomás para los ricos. Muchas gracias y feliz Navidad.
I hope that the law protects both the rich and the poor. What I see is that it only protects the rich. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Laura Dennehy, followed by Claire Sassone, followed by Frederick Schultz, and then Spike Marlin.
Good morning. My name is Laura Dennehy. I'm a 20-year tenant of Lincoln Place Apartments. I live with my mother, who is 85 years old. She would love to be here now, but she's suffering from a heart condition. She's getting more and more stressed. Every letter that AIMCO gives, every threat, and with all her neighbors out, she virtually sits in a ghost town, abandoned. We need your help. We need your help now. We are living in a tent city. My mom can't stay there overnight, so she's there until March. Then she will be evicted at 85 years old. This city needs to start taking some action to help Venice community. This will spread to each and every one of your communities. So we need all the council members' help, and we need it today. Please help us. Help the seniors. There is barely any affordable housing for seniors, and we need your help today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for letting us speak and overspeak. Our tenants in our community,
Could you just, I'm sorry,
my
state
name
your
is
name.
Claire Sassoon.
Thank you.
I've been a 13-year resident at Lincoln Place. Our tenants and our community members are suffering under a process that is not honorable, not public, and is deceptive. I was locked out of my house last Tuesday. I'm homeless with my family. AIMCO is double-dealing the city by negotiating a vested tentative tract map that came with conditions of approval and then are ignoring those conditions of approval. We need to have a city attorney who is willing to enforce all the parts of an agreement. 21 children and 65 adults were evicted in 2 hours. That morning, there was a scheduled hearing to determine whether or not it was legal to evict the tenants. This is not an honorable process, and that is AIMCO's modus operandi. Stop the evictions that are scheduled to begin today. Demand that AIMCO negotiate openly, legally, and in good faith with the community, the preservationists, the tenants, and the city. And please come to see this historic resource. I know you will find that it is a development that really fulfills Ralph Vaughn's purpose in creating community. We are a community. We look out for each other.
Frederick Schultz, followed.
Hi,
Go ahead.
I'm Fred Schultz. I've been in Venice 10 years. I remember Eric from college. Hi, Eric. Anyway, I am a lawyer. I'm a bit of a philanthropist, well, was. Helped to start the Academy for Jewish Religion, which is doing great at UCLA now. I'll probably be going there soon. But the last 8 months, I've been living out of my car. And it's been all right, but it's pretty hard. And sleeping on the beach is hard. You know, especially if you live in like a van, you're worried that you're always going to get tickets. I haven't been doing it out of a van. The beach has been all right, but you know, these people can't handle living on the beach. That's not going to work for them. Somehow I've been managing, but they're not going to like it. You know, they can't keep these families together. It's been getting cold and rainy. If you try to sleep on the beach, you know, you'll get busted either by cops, or just, you know, molested by people. And then if you go to an RV park, then you have to pay $15 a night, and then you have a 30-day limit, and then that's like $450, which is almost the same rent these people are paying anyway, but instead to be out there in a tent. You know, it's not going to work to just make these people homeless, but you do have to start thinking about making the lives easier for all the homeless people also, because right now it seems that the city is trying to make the lives harder or impossible to be homeless. And, you know, people don't choose this. It just kind of happens sometimes, as you can see. Now, as far as your responsibility here, you know, you either say that you do care, well, you say you care, and that you can't help this. Well, I can't believe that you can't help this. I heard you were tossing a football around the other day during some hearing. That doesn't go over, guys. You know, I can't believe that you couldn't have done more. And I'm sure you can do more. This, I hear, has been going on 18 years. You had 18 years to figure out how to develop this property if that's what you wanted to allow, and to help these people. That's 18 years. There's 35 acres, and you couldn't figure out what to do with 35 acres and 2,000 people in 18 years? You've got to do a better job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll continue to hear the speakers with just brevity as much as possible. We'll continue to hear all the speakers today. Spike Marlin, followed by Linda Armstrong, followed by Karen Kroner and Mark Stefanik.
I'll be succinct as I can. My name is Spike Marlin. I'm a resident of Lincoln Place. I live with my mother, Frida, who's 81 years old, who most of you here have embraced and kissed at one time. Rocky Delgadillo kissed my mother, shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "I got my boxing gloves on for you." And then Sunday proceeded to take the other side, the opposite side of the city. I don't understand how city attorneys even allowed to do that. I'm also kind of disappointed that Mr. Parks isn't here today, as he represents renters. Is he? Is he? Well, I don't see him here. Oh, okay. He's moving around. We're playing musical things. Well, then I'm glad you're here, because I know you represent the opposition, or at least the apartment owners. This isn't good for apartment owners. Aimco isn't going out of the rental business. What we need to do, in lieu of having immediate legal remedy, which it doesn't seem to be immediate, and right now, as we speak, the marshal could be going out like they did last Tuesday. Could be happening even as we speak, and it's hard to think of. Perhaps you can declare a Lincoln Place Day or a Lincoln Place Week, anything that draws attention to this. We need more media. We need the public opinion is on our side. When the public is, anytime I explain the complexity of this to any stranger who asks me or says, well, the people, you know, they own the place, they have a right to do what they want, and you sit down with them and you have a dialogue and you explain it, they get it, they understand. The soundbite isn't enough to really defend us, but we need forum, we need public forum. And a Lincoln Place Day or Week or something like that would help a lot, because that way we'd have a venue to draw attention to our plight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Linda Armstrong.
Hi, Linda Armstrong here to protest the illegal evictions from Lincoln Place. Lincoln Place has been given a historic designation. Surely that doesn't just apply to the buildings, but also the people within. We have over 100,000 homeless people in Los Angeles. Why would you want to add to that number, that tragic number? I'm here to ask you to please just enforce the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Kroner, followed by Mark Stepanek, followed by Ingrid Mueller. Is Karen here? Karen's not here. Okay. Mark Stepanek.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before this body. My name is Mark Stepanek. I'm also a tenant of Lincoln Place. I've got a couple quick questions for the council. Do you believe in justice? Do you believe in truth? We, the people of Lincoln Place, are not getting justice, and the truth is not being heard where Lincoln Place is concerned. Our rights as tenants of Lincoln Place and the citizens of Los Angeles have been abrogated, ignored, or circumvented by Aimco with the complicity of the city attorney. We all know the city suffers many, many ills because we the people and you the body politic didn't speak up long enough, loud enough, or early enough to solve the problems that this city suffers right now. The mayor himself spoke last Tuesday at the Delray Homeowners Association quite eloquently about one of those major problems. It's affordable housing. It's what we're here to speak about today. We all know it's a major issue. It's no secret. The mayor himself said 70% of the citizens of Los Angeles cannot afford to buy a house. Well, that's why we're here. Not only can we not afford to buy a house, we're trying to hold on to the community we have, what's considered affordable housing. When I moved there 7 years ago, my rent doubled. It looks like it's about to double again. It keeps going this way until, I don't know what's going to happen. Somebody needs to put their foot down. I mean, frankly, obviously, it comes down to money and power and access. AIMCO has the money. AIMCO has the power. They have the access. Latham & Watkins, money, power, and access. The largest law firm in the country. They have access without blinking, without asking for it. All we're asking is that we want a fair hearing. You know, we hear continually, the mayor's on our side. Obviously, Bill's on our side. He's doing a great job. We even heard from the city attorney that he's on our side. We had to sit on his doorstep to get a meeting with him. Yet, we get evicted when all these people are on our side. I don't quite understand it. I believe it's in your power. The mayor also said last Tuesday, I'm just the mayor. What can I do? I used to deal with these issues when I was in council. Well, you're in council. This is an issue. We would like you to deal with it. Not only that, I think the mayor should take the just out of his phrasing and statement. He's not just the mayor, he's the mayor, and you're the council. He can lead you to find a better way to do something better. He can stand up during this early part of his tenure to lead this city, to make a statement to the citizens of Los Angeles, make a statement to the council, make a statement to the city attorney, make a statement to AIMCO and all the greedy developers like them that force cities like you to lay down and roll over for them. You know, it's shameless. It's shameless that they would destroy a community to rebuild it in their image. I don't know what to do myself. I got posted yesterday, and I have a new. Sorry, time to go. At any rate, I think the power is there. You can lead by example. You can show the whole country what it means to be a great city and how to take care of your citizens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Ingrid Mueller, followed by Susan Morrow and Marca Cameron.
Hello, full City Council. Thank you for hearing us with so much patience. I'm a bit speechless. I will have 3 sentences. I think my first one is I'm speechless that this state still kills people even though they denounce their innocence. I'm also speechless that the State Ellis Act is allowing my neighbors to get locked out. Thank goodness it's not in the rain, but it is in the cold around a fire in Tent City in Venice. And I also know you all do the best you know how to do, as we have all tried to survive at Lincoln Place under enormous duress for over 15 years. But can you please do better? Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Morrow, followed by Marca Cameron, followed by Celeste King IV.
Good morning, council members. My name is Susan Morrow. I am a resident of Venice and have lived a block away from Lincoln Place for 22 years. I'm a homeowner. And you could look around Venice and say, well, wow, that is so wonderful. My property is going up in an outrageous way. I want to live in a community where there are all people represented, tenants alike. Lincoln Place has been an exemplary community for many, many years. As a former landmarks commissioner in the city of Santa Monica, I am very well aware of process, and I am here today to speak to the fact that actions have been taken out of the process. There were conditions that were reached in November of 2002 concerning Lincoln Place, and the city has wavered from the conditions. It is imperative that you step forward and take your leadership role and help this group of tenants, plus all the people that have put in their many years of hard work on trying to save Lincoln Place and all the people that live in it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marca Cameron, Celeste King. Is Lisa Palmer part of this group? No, okay.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here. My name is Marcia Cameron, and I'm a homeowner that lives nearby Lincoln Place Garden Apartments. And every day I drive by this community, and it's so charming, and it blends in so beautifully with the area that is mostly, mostly one-story buildings, two-story single-family homes, and you go by and it's beautifully kept, and nice yards, and you'll see the children playing, and it's just been a wonderful community there. It fits in so well. And I've watched the large developers come in and cram in huge apartment complexes in every available area of the west side. And it's just so disheartening to see that there have been such illegal actions taken to get rid of these people from their homes and to destroy this beautiful community. If this was to be taken away, something would be put in that certainly would not blend into the community and would have such a great impact on the lifestyle, traffic, all of that. But also it would take away the affordable housing, and these people have lived here so long and been such good neighbors to everyone. We voted for Mr. Rosendahl because we, believe that you would, help in these kinds of situations, and we're grateful for that. And I beg everyone to please have a vision for how the West Side develops. So many things need to be taken into consideration, and I just beg you to please do the right thing by these people and have a vision for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Celeste King, followed by Elizabeth Cloris, followed by Amanda Seward.
Good afternoon, council members. When I came here today, I really didn't know what I was going to say, but I've been hit by a blinding flash of the obvious, and that is that the American dream has really become just that for many of these people here, seniors, young children, and others who've been displaced, because the only place they're going to see the American dream is in their dreams when they're asleep. I think that when we talk about what we can do as a community to help this situation, I think we really do have to go outside of the box. I think an example of that is something that happened in one of our neighboring cities not too long ago, in fact, in the very recent past, and that was with a mobile trailer park home. And the city figured out a way to subsidize that situation so that an association could purchase that particular property, and that they could then go ahead and become their own landlords and own the property in the cooperative. And that might be a solution. I'm not sure whether it'll work or not, but I'm thinking it's something that might give you, just a foundation to be able to look at this. Because here, when we look at this and we realize that people of low income, moderate income, and seniors are truly at a disadvantage, and especially in a city that's growing as fast as this, where the actual cost of living has increased to such a point that many of us who are seniors now, and I hate to say I'm a senior now, but many of us really have to stop and look at where we're going and how we spend our dollars, because it can be not only housing, but it can be a difference between whether we have a roof over our head or whether we eat. So I just threw it out, and I'm here, and I'm in total support of Bill and all the rest of you. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Ms. Cloris, Elizabeth Cloris.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Elizabeth Colores. Tengo 12 años de vivir en Lincoln Place. Tengo 2 hijos.
Good day, my name is Elizabeth Colores. I have 12 years living at Lincoln Place. I have 2 children.
De 6 y 12 años. El día que a mí me sacaron, mi hijo el menor vio y se sorprendió mucho y dijo, mami, ¿por qué nos está pasando esto?
My children are 6 and 12. The day we were locked out, my youngest child saw everything that was happening, and it surprised him, it shocked him, and he asked me, Mommy, why is this happening to us?
¿Por qué nos están sacando? Fue algo muy doloroso para mí el responderle a mi hijo. Al siguiente día
Why are they kicking us out? It was very painful to me to have to respond to my child. The next day,
Cuando recogí a mi hijo en la escuela, la maestra me preguntó si había pasado algo en mi familia.
the next day when I picked up my child at school, the teacher asked me if something had happened in my family.
Porque mi hijo había estado muy diferente en la escuela. Cuando íbamos caminando en la calle, mi hijo no quería caminar y empezó a llorar.
Because he had been behaving very differently in school, and as we were walking home, he didn't even want to walk, and he started to cry.
Y le dije, ¿por qué no quieres caminar? ¿Estás enojado conmigo? Y me dijo, no. Dice, mami, ¿a dónde vamos si no tenemos casa?
I asked him, why don't you want to walk? Are you mad at me? And he said, no, Mommy, but where are we going if we don't have a home?
Por favor, ayúdenos. Gracias.
Please help us. Thank you. It's her sister who's on hunger strike who spoke earlier.
Thank you. Amanda Seward, followed by Bill Delvac, followed by Steve Clare, and our last speaker, Elena Pop.
I'm going to switch with Steve Clare.
Morning, my name is Steve Clare. I'm a longtime Venice resident. I'm also the executive director of the Venice Community Housing Corporation, which is a nonprofit affordable housing developer focused on the west side in Venice. First, I want to just thank the mayor and our city council person for trying to do what they could and can and have been doing to try to achieve a settlement of this matter. It is appalling, though, to me that the city has not taken any legal action whatsoever to try to prevent this unfolding tragedy. I believe that the primary reason for this inaction is because we have a do-nothing city attorney whose do-nothing advice and do-nothing attitude results in an inability to focus on the issue at hand. It is pretty well known that Rocky Delgadillo is not a friend of low-income tenants. He's not a friend of affordable housing. We all read recently in the LA Times, the housing department of this city turned over 275 complaints for violation of our rent control law to the city attorney for prosecution, and he filed not one single criminal action against one single landlord in this city. He filed only one civil action for penalties out of 275 complaints that were prepared for him to file. And his record isn't any better when it comes to slum housing. The city attorney is supposed to enforce the local and state health and safety laws to protect the people living in the housing in this city so that they can all live in habitable dwellings. I suspect that he has not filed a complaint this year against the landlord for the slum conditions that are being permitted to exist. But the real problem is not with Rocky Delgadillo. The real problem is really with this council, because you are the people who set the policy for this city. You and the mayor determine what the policy is. And Rocky Delgadillo is your attorney. You are his client, and he has an obligation to do what you want to be done. So when you go into your closed session today, I hope you think critically about whether or not Rocky Delgadillo is enforcing your housing policies. And if he isn't, make him do his job. Thank you.
Amanda, you're next. No, Amanda, you're next. And then we'll go to Bill Delvac and then Elena Pop.
Why does Delvac go last?
Not going last. Elena Pop is
No,
going last.
no, you've heard enough. I just wanted to be able to address any misconceptions or untruths that Mr. Delvac provided you. That was my only purpose in speaking.
Okay, Ms. Pop will be the final speaker after Mr. Delvac. Mr. Delvac?
President Pro Tem Gruhl, honorable members, Bill Delvac with Latham & Watkins on behalf of the property owner Aimco. You've heard a number of stories today and in the past about the difficulties of the tenants who are facing relocation. And Aimco is concerned, in fact, was so concerned that 1 month prior to the first date that the evictions were supposed to occur, July 18th, 1 month prior to that, Aimco submitted a detailed offer that would have allowed all the tenants to stay and would have addressed preservation issues. That offer was rejected in less than 2 hours. We waited over 3 months to hear any response, and it was only at the, frankly, direct personal intervention and urging of Councilmember Rosendahl that talks resumed. Those talks went on for 3 or 4 days, including a marathon session of over 10 hours in Councilmember Rosendahl's office. Aimco participated in each and every one of those meetings because it wanted to avoid this outcome. Unfortunately and tragically, some of the opponents to Aimco's project, and I will note, these are the same opponents that have not just sued Aimco, but sued the city repeatedly over this project and lost repeatedly. Some of those opponents are determined to make sure that there is no settlement. In fact, one of the speakers who just said that she wanted to refute any misstatements I made immediately left negotiations and went to the State Historical Resources Commission and said, and the transcript shows, I will never sign an agreement. Unfortunately, it can't be both ways. It can't both be that Aimco gives everyone things they're asking, but yet gets no agreement. These settlement negotiations were not broken off by Aimco. They were broken off by opponents who said, I will never sign an agreement. And it wasn't just the preservationists. One of the key tenants also went to Sacramento and also said that there was not an agreement. This is not the beginning of any process, it's the end of the process. This council, a week or two ago, made a similar decision when it had to face a city decision about a police station, and you heard from 217 people who demanded that you give them relief. You followed the law. You paid relocation. You went about your business. That's all Aimco's doing here. It's simply following the law, as this city council should do, and it did on its own business, it should do here. Yes, this is a tragedy, but unfortunately, it's a tragedy of the opponent's making, not of Aimco's making. Councilmember Rosendahl can tell you that Aimco participated in every discussion they were asked to, made offers, made counter-offers, attended meetings, phone calls. My timesheets are full of multiple calls from people asking us what would it take to resolve this. It would have taken a very simple thing, full agreement by all opponents to stop all opposition and to resolve this. They rejected that. This is a tragedy of their making. The law is clear. People have said that these are illegal evictions. Well, the courts must have gotten it wrong because over 80 times now, this issue has been in court. And every time the court has said that Aimco and the city are following the law. You've heard that people are homeless. If they're homeless, they must have taken the relocation money and put it in the bank or spent it on something else. They were all provided with relocation money. If they are homeless, unfortunately, they are homeless of their own choosing, just as there is no agreement of their own choosing by a few of their key opponents. This city has many, many important tasks ahead of it, one of which is protecting tenants, another which is following the law. The law is clear here. The tragedy is of their making. The city should just follow the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yet again,
please. I'm
Elena
sorry.
Pop, Eviction Defense Network, counsel to the tenants. Yet again, Mr. Delvac and I agree on one thing: the city should follow the law. So should Aimco. I want to start by addressing his issues, and then I want to make a couple of comments. First of all, the detailed offer that was relayed to us a month before the first evictions had a huge escape clause. And that escape clause was that if Aimco couldn't do what it wants to do, which is increase its density to 1,008, then the deal was off. And if anyone objected to the deal, something the tenants could not control, the deal was off. That is not anything that any lawyer would recommend that their client sign. Then there were marathon sessions that were brought together by the mayor's office and Bill Rosenthal's office, and I also want to thank them very much for all the efforts that they have put into this. But at that meeting, the day before the State Historic Commission, again, there was an escape clause. Had we signed that agreement and the State Historic Commission made the designation permanent, the deal was off. We then revised that deal and reoffered it, and the new deal, and my clients, by the way, never rejected the deal. My clients, in spite of this limitation, accepted the offer. The offer that's before Aimco also has an escape clause. If the buildings can't come down by March 21st, the deal is off. That's not anything the tenants have any control of. And so it's a very problematic deal. So for Aimco to say it's of the tenant's own making when A, the only offer on the table has a huge escape clause, and B, the tenants accepted it in spite of the problems, is completely disingenuous. The police station situation has nothing to do with this. There, it's a public issue, a police station. I don't know anything about that case, but what I do know about this one is that the law is not being followed in this case. As I stated the last time we were here, you cannot allow a developer to come into the city, make promises, and then break them. And that is exactly what is happening here. And for whatever reason, the city attorney has decided that this track map is not enforceable in spite of the fact that there's a Court of Appeals decision that says that it is. And last Tuesday, when the city attorney went in to get a judge to sign an order, instead of trying to get the judge to issue an order saying this track map is enforceable and the conditions protecting the tenants are enforceable, the city attorney tried to get the judge to sign an order that says that the track map has not been invoked because it's never been recorded and that the conditions are not enforceable. That opens you up for can't be invoked now, but once the tenants are out and they recorded, now it can be invoked. This makes absolutely no sense at all. What I think you can do is work very hard to get this developer back to the table. The tenants have been willing to negotiate all along. We have made many overtures, and the developer has been unwilling to come back to the table. I also think that you need to send a clear message to the developer that developers that don't keep their promises won't be allowed to do anything but what they can do by right. And I would also warn other jurisdictions, other city councils all over the country of what has happened here so that they will be aware of what this developer is doing. The audacity of saying that these folks are homeless by choice when we live in a city where the rents they will be paying will be at least $1,000 more, and relocation assistance is completely inadequate to deal with that is beyond my ability to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. We're going into executive session.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing a total of 54 minutes for public comment, and I want to thank my colleagues, all 13 of you that are here right now, for being here and being attentive to the discussion. I want to thank the community from Venice for articulating its positions, its commitments to people and to affordable housing in the Venice area. And I want to also thank Bill Dovak, because he did have to get up there and deal with the situation so all parties could be heard. We're now going to go into, as the Madam President will suggest, into executive session where all of these issues, especially the comments that you've all made, will be discussed with the City Attorney's Office. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney,
Council will now be going into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A.
Mr. City Attorney, is there any public comments that can be made afterwards, after we're out of executive session, to the community?
That would be up to the Council President.
Okay, thank
We
you.
have the colleagues.
May I ask if the council has any questions for us?
We know you'll be available outside if there are any questions after that, and I know if we could clear the chambers, please. We're about ready? Thank you. We are now back in public session. We've been in executive session for the last about 45 minutes. Madam Clerk, item that's before us, so I'd like to actually recognize Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank my colleagues again for this discourse that we had in closed session, and the city staff for its input and interaction with us. And I want to thank Madam President for the public hearing that we held before. I'd like to pass a resolution and get seconds on this, a resolution where we as a city council urge all the parties, that's the tenants, that's the preservationists, and that's the developer, to come back to the bargaining table now, that there should be opportunities for that. And I have a second from Ms.
Hahn. I'll second it. Okay?
That's my first motion, so if I could have a vote on that.
Sure. We have a verbal motion before us asking us to consider, to request that the parties come together. Mr. Attorney, that, okay? Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved.
Thank you, Madam President. And the second motion is a resolution that we need to do our homework here in the city and come up with a policy statement regarding the present Ellis Act and what needs to be done to that Ellis Act on a statewide level to strengthen the rights of tenants and to strengthen the rights of community in protecting and keeping affordable housing. We would like the CLA's office, the City Attorney's office, the Planning Department to work with us and with other cities, like the City of Santa Monica that is studying the Ellis Act and others, to see how we can suggest to our leadership in Sacramento how they can provide the support so that the Ellis Act can be strengthened and protecting tenants, not just as it's been appearing to be for developers who are stripping affordable housing out of our areas. And I'd like a second for that resolution. Second by
Mr. Garcetti would like to be acknowledged on that item.
And just
Yes.
on that, we can, if you want, we can take that up before the end of the year. We have very packed schedules, but on the Housing Committee, we can have an initial scoping of that if you'd like.
That would be fantastic, Mr.
Okay.
Garcetti, and I look
So
forward
that's
to the committee doing
been
that.
seconded by Mr. Garcetti. That item, colleagues, is now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been
Thank you.
approved. Thank you. Colleagues, we're now at the end of our forthwith to the mayor. I think those are motions going to committee. Now we have before us, I'd like to make an announcement. Mr. Reyes wanted to announce that Plum will be beginning 15 minutes after the conclusion of our council meeting today. Colleagues, do we have any announcements today? Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
tonight
LaBonge.
we will have a special bike ride with the Los Angeles County Bike Coalition through the Griffith Park Light Festival. We're meeting at 5:30 at the historic merry-go-round in Griffith Park. All members of the community invited, especially children, to come and ride through the Light Festival in Griffith Park, arranged by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, LADWP, the Council Office of the 4th District, and the Coalition for Cycling in Los Angeles County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Any other announcements? If not, colleagues, I do know we have some adjourning motions today. If we could ask everyone to please
You wanna
rise.
do one? You want to do one?
Including the public, if you would please rise. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Labange.
Members, I know we have been out a little bit, but there are several. One noted national leader, Eugene McCarthy, who was a great United States Senator and had ethics all through his life. I'd like to ask Mr. Rosendahl to chime in with me as well on this. As you know, he's born in Minnesota and finished high school at the age of 16 and worked his way up at St. John's University. But he was a great man who had principle. And that was a wonderful thing about Eugene McCarthy. And he did change this history of this country. If you look back when he fought so hard to end the Vietnam War, it did change what they say is the opinion of then President Johnson to seek re-elect, which then drafted Bobby Kennedy to run for office, changed the whole dynamics. Eugene McCarthy, a great American. Also, members, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Herb Strock. Yes, sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't see him.
Just a quick word on Mr. McCarthy. Thank you very much, Mr. Labange, for doing that. My father's first electoral political experience was working as the Southern California director of the McCarthy campaign here, and he spoke to me many times about what kind of man he was. He and my mother both worked on that campaign at a time when they were looking for somebody who represented their beliefs and their ideals, and I think that forever cemented in him a desire to go in public service, which obviously influenced me a lot. So I know Senator McCarthy had a ripple effect on so many people, and Mr. Rosendahl as well. Probably has some words to say, but thank you for that.
Councilmember Labange.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Sure.
Rosendahl, on that note?
Yeah,
on that
please,
agenda.
on Senator Eugene McCarthy, I knew him, I worked for him, I ran 2 wards for him in Pittsburgh when I was a graduate student at the University of Pittsburgh. He also was a Benedictine, as I was. We went through the schooling of the Benedictine part of the Catholic Church, and he was truly a crusader and a visionary, and did change the dynamics of the political process in the 60s. I was a kid then, and it gave me hope that we could make the world a better place. And Gene McCarthy was an inspiration to many of us at that era.
Thank you very much. Also, members, I'd like to introduce a German here for Herb Strock, who was a great man who was born in Boston. He went to Beverly Hills High School, but later got involved in the early film and television business. He was the director of the first Dragnet series and many famous shows after that in the advent of television, including Highway Patrol. Herb Strock was married to his wife Geraldine for 64 years and survived by 2 daughters. I ask we adjourn in memory of him. And finally, members, I ask we adjourn, and I know many will want to join in on this here in memory of Bill Robertson, the great labor leader for Los Angeles County, was a great commissioner under Tom Bradley, was instrumental, was a member of the original Committee of 9 to organize the Los Angeles Olympic Games, was a great commissioner on the Coliseum, commissioner as well as Recreation and Parks, commissioner in bringing the Raiders from Oakland down here for that period of time, including when they were the National Football League champions in the 1983 season. Bill Robertson was a very passionate man, a fighting man for labor and the working man, and a great city commissioner. And also he lived in my district too, and it was good to talk to him. I saw him recently this year at a community event, and he had such a gentle soul, but he was such a powerful voice, Bill Robertson. As all members, he's survived by his wife and 2 sons, William and Robert.
All members. Next, Ms. Jan Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Mary Thornton, who was a longtime resident of the 9th Council District. She died on Tuesday, December the 6th. She was born in Dallas, Texas, and came to Los Angeles in 1967. She was an amazing woman who devoted her life to her family and to her community. Her wonderful sense of humor and love will never be forgotten, and we'd like to join her family in mourning her loss. Her funeral service will be held Wednesday, December the 14th, House of God Apostolic Church, 1740 West 59th Street.
Councilmember Rosendahl.
Yes, I have 2 adjourning motions. First is very personal for all of us around the Horseshoe, and that's the late Marvin Browdy. I have the pleasure of being in the position to follow up on some of the incredible things that this man did. He served on this body for 32 years. And if you want to know why the Santa Monica Mountains are part of our treasure, you can thank Marvin Browdy. If you want to know why there's no drilling of oil in the Palisades and along the coast, you can thank Marvin Browdy. If you want to know why we don't smoke in our restaurants anymore, you can thank Marvin Browdy. If you want to know why charter reform was championed and moved forward, you can thank Marvin Browdy. We have lost a legend, a true leader who never gave up. I had the pleasure when I was the cable guy to do 23 shows with him, and I have the great honor and privilege to be now the councilman from the 11th District. May he rest in peace.
All members. Tom Labange?
I believe Mr. Browdy was here in the last 90 days, right in the front row. We got to visit with him. And I'll tell you, for who these chambers are named, John Farrar, he'd always point out that Marvin Browdy was the 8th vote for the 1984 Olympic Games. We forget that. In 1976 in Montreal, the cost overruns there. Everybody was running scared from the Olympics, and the vote was that close. In fact, Mr. Bradley had removed the application. John held it in his office right up there, and the following Tuesday, with Mr. Browdy as the 8th vote, who affirmed the call for the Olympic Games. And I mentioned that to his daughter Ann yesterday at the service, and she smiled. And well, another thing that Marvin Browdy championed, the right thing, he truly was a champion. Marvin Browdy.
And I might make one more final point about him. I've been talking with State Senator Sheila Kuehl about taking the bike path that he helped create and dedicate it in the memory of Marvin Browdy. And we'll see if we can move forward with that and what the city needs to do. The second person, I'd like to.
That was all members. Go ahead.
All members. Adjourn is Wendy Jo Sperber. I mentioned it, we didn't have a quorum last time, who is an actress, a comedian, and founder of We Spark Cancer Support Group. She passed away on November 29th. There's lots to say about her credits, but I will say what I knew her for was that she didn't quit when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She created a wellness group and spent years energizing people in the Valley around the issue. We had a tremendous memorial service, an overflow crowd. May she rest in peace.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we adjourn in the name of Sarah Lynn Redding, the daughter of Patty and Don Redding of Mission Hills, better known for those of us in the Valley as the owner and operator of Hamer Toyota in Mission Hills. She was a lovely lady and passed away on her birthday, December 10th, at the age of 25. And it's a great loss to those of us who work in the Valley and know the family very well. We adjourn in her honor. She was a very special, warm person with a great smile, and I know she's deeply missed by all who met her.
Thank you. Weiss, Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to join in the recognition of my friend Wendy Jo Sperber, and I'd also like to ask that we adjourn in memory of 3 other very special people, Shirley Levine, George Smith, and Maury Crines.
Thank you. Councilmember
I just
Knight.
want to add on to Marvin Browdy's remembrance. I remember the '84 Olympics. He was carrying the torch on the torch run down Sepulveda Boulevard towards Ventura Boulevard, and I had the contingent of officers in the Valley that we led that torch run down Ventura up to Panga Canyon. I remember him coming down Sepulveda with that torch, so proud, so honorable, carrying that all the way through that Sepulveda Pass from Mulholland Drive and a portion down towards Ventura Boulevard. And he was tired when he got down to the bottom and put him in the police car and got him back to his car. But I'll never forget his happy face and his happy sight. I know we saw him in later years. He became rather frail, but he was an avid hiker, an avid outdoorsman. So God bless Marvin Browdy. I have 3 adjourning motions, Mr. President. The first is Vivian Ball, passed away November 30th. Vivian Ball passed away at the age of 94. Retired a bus driver who worked for 40 years for the LA Unified School District, lived in her home on Jordan Avenue, Canoga Park since 1942. Her husband, Fred Ball, who is deceased, was a captain with the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Be dearly missed by her friends and family. May Vivian Ball rest in peace. Second adjourning motion, Diane Lee Ingemundson, passed away November 24th. Born August 13, 1950 in Cincinnati, Ohio, married to Geringer Munson, retired member of the Los Angeles Police Department, also an attorney who represents officers with the Police Protective League. Diane suffered illness for many, many years, and she was a valiant woman, deeply missed by her family and friends. May Diane Lee Inga Munson rest in peace. And the final is personal. It's my uncle Joe Rahal. Joseph Robert Rahal, affectionately known to many, Uncle Joe, suffered a stroke on November 15th while at home in Studio City. Discovered by his friend and mailman Larry, who summoned paramedics, transported to hospital where he remained for 9 days and ultimately died on Thanksgiving morning. Uncle Joe was born July 31st, 1950 in Wheeling, West Virginia. Family relocated to Inglewood with his mother, father, brother, and sister, and purchased a chicken ranch where they sold chickens for a living. Uncle Joe attended school in Inglewood, graduated from high school, helped support his family. He learned the garment trade, and baking became the garment foreman at Beauty Fit in downtown Los Angeles. Uncle Joe was loved by all who met him. He was a person who grew violets and gave them to his friends and families. He was the one who coordinated and ordered over 800 pounds of See's candy for his friends during the holiday seasons for the past 50 years. Loved the arts and classical music. Frequent visitor at the Schubert Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, where he enjoyed plays and musicals. Uncle Joe was the one who was always there for everyone in the community and never asked anyone for help. He lived a happy life and left this world on Thanksgiving Day to join his parents, brother, sister, my mom in heaven. Uncle Joe Rahal, may you rest in peace.
Thank you. That concludes. All members. That concludes our adjournments for today's council meeting. Please call the roll. This publicly held council meeting is now adjourned.